Hi and welcome to my tutorial for a baby beanie. I'm using a chunky yarn, and for the rib I'm using a 5mm hook. So we're going to chain 20, well actually chain 21. So for the first row we're going to work a double crochet into the second chain from the hook, and we're going to work a double crochet into each stitch to the end of the row. Next we're going to chain 1, and we're going to miss the first double crochet and work into the back loop only of the second double crochet, and we're going to continue working double crochets into the back loop only to the end of the row. And finish the row with a double crochet into the chain 1 and turn, and again we're going to miss the first double crochet and work into the back loop of each double crochet until the end of the row, and finish with a double crochet into the chain 1. So you're going to do approximately 52, I've measured it around my model doll, around her head, and it's about 52 rows. So this bit sideways is the bit that will create the band around the baby's head or the child's head. So yeah, do about 52 rows and just measure it to make sure it fits around the head of whoever you're making it for, and then we'll move on to the colours. So as you can see, I've sewed the seam together, and now we're going to work in the round. So the first colour I'm going to add in is yellow. You can use any combination of colours that you like. I'm going to do 2 row stripes for mine. So for the first row we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to work a half treble into the next stitch. So in order to accurately do the stitches, there's a ridge and there's a stitch in between, so that's one, and that's the next stitch, and that's the next stitch, and that's the next stitch. So one stitch into a rib and a ridge, and one stitch into the bit in between. So the next stitch we're going to do into the ridge is a slip stitch, and then into the bit in between we're going to do a half treble. So just continue round working a slip stitch followed by a half treble until you get to the end of the round and join with a slip stitch, and end the row with a slip stitch into the chain 1, and then chain 1 again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work a half treble into the slip stitch from the previous row, and a slip stitch into the half treble from the previous row. Half treble into the slip stitch, and a slip stitch into the half treble, and just continue alternating, working a slip stitch into the half trebles and a half treble into the slip stitches until you get to the end of the row and join with a slip stitch, and end the row with a slip stitch into the starting chain. And then we're going to snip off the yellow and join in the next colour. So we're going to chain one with the new colour, just giving all the tails of yarn a little tug to make sure it's fitting properly, and then we're going to go into the first stitch, work a half treble, and then a slip stitch into the next stitch, half treble into the next stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch, and just carry on alternating between the slip stitch and the half stitches, and work 2 rows in each colour up to about, I would say, between 6 and 8 rows, or measure it on the person you're making it for, is my advice, because all babies' heads are different sizes. But yeah, just continue in pattern and make a half treble, slip stitch, half treble, slip stitch in red for 2 rows, and then the next colour for 2 rows, and then the third colour for 2 rows, and then just see how happy you are with the size before you go on to the next stage. So as you can see, I've done 2 rows each of the different colours, 4 different colours, and for the last 2 rows I'm going to join in the white again and just complete 2 rows exactly the same way but with white. So chain 1 and half treble, and slip stitch into the half treble into the slip stitch, and so on. So just do the 2 rows of half treble and slip stitch in white and join with a slip stitch at the end of the round. Now all that remains to do is finish off by threading, leaving a length of yarn and threading it through a needle, and then all you're going to do is stitch around the whole of the top of the hat. And then we're just going to pull as tightly as we can. And then we're going to over sew the hole. Don't worry too much if you can't close it up completely, because there's going to be a pom-pom. So just tie the tail, two tails together, at least 3 times tightly, and then you're going to sew in any ends that are left over, and then put your pom-pom on top.